Sanctuary. All right.
Hello, welcome to
Here we
Diablo
go.
4 community to another episode of Diablo 4 Campfire Chats. My name is Adam Fletcher. I am the director of community here for Diablo. Of course, I'm joined by two very familiar faces here. Mr. Joe Shelley, game director of Diablo
Joe.
4.
Yep.
Mr.
And
Joe
hi,
Pipora,
Joe.
who is the associate game director for Diablo 4. We have a quick stream to go over.
Man,
some,
they haven't
some
had a
stuff
rod
that's
on
coming
since
down
the
road
Malignant
here,
Tunnel
in
thing.
the next couple weeks.
I thought it was
which
funny.
Includes Abattoir's Year and Midwinter Blight. So lots to talk about. But what's kind of cool about this stream is that it is our final stream of the year. The
Final
stream
strum of the
2023.
year.
We're closing it out, and this is actually it's been a year now since we started these streams. We started with Diablo 4 developer updates on, was it mid-December last year, I believe. So we're hitting a 1-year anniversary now, and of course. On that debut stream, I had these two wonderful gentlemen who joined us as well. So we
got to meet JoJo.
It's been a year. It's crazy.
We've all grown so much.
I know. We went from hand models to holding maps and things like that
That was fun.
Campfire Chats, which we even brought to BlizzCon, which was actually really cool last month. And of course, now we're here to talk about Abattoir's Year. But before we actually do jump into that, I know there is a very popular question within chat and a very popular question within the community that we want to address before we jump in, which is Diablo 4 bringing pay for power?
They're jumping right into it. They're jumping right.
Yeah, no.
They're jumping right. They're jumping right into
We've been
it.
very clear about this.
They said
And I think very consistent about it, and that continues to be true. And that also applies to things like addressing stash, making sure that players have enough stash space to store things. We talked about this at BlizzCon. We talked about getting aspects out of your stash inventory. We had a stash tab in Season 2. We think that having enough space for a regular player to feel like they
a regular
are
player
good in terms of being able
So
to
they are going to sell stash tabs, but
and there are no
not
plans
aspect
to add any pay for power to the game.
or
It's
weapons.
been a very popular question this week.
Because they were going to add legendaries
We've
or
been seeing it a
aspects.
lot in chat, even as we were in
Or
our
legendary
countdown.
aspects,
We wanted to make sure we talked about it early with
Like
everyone.
legendary unique
to
weapons.
reassure people that no, that is not the plan for Diablo 4. And
So no
they
pay
will
for
still
power,
be able
but
to
the
enjoy it
pet pay
without
for
the need of
convenience is
needing to
still
pay for any
it's
type of
still
power or
on the
anything
map,
like that.
on the table.
And there won't be any of that in there. So great to hear. And I know that we have a lot to talk about today. The first thing we did want to mention, though, is actually Midwinter Blight, which is an event that is actually going to be coming up
Yeah,
here
the Christmas
on December 12th. It is our holiday event. It's actually our first holiday event. It's funny because people have asked us about, hey, what about Halloween? We kind of remind people that like Season of Blood is kind of Halloween. it's very much focused in around
It's got
vampires.
It's got skeletons. I mean, it's got all the same stuff.
So
you
they're
expect
not
to get
making
from
like
Halloween.
events for every holiday, but that's okay.
So Midwinter Blight coming December
okay.
12th is our holiday event that we
they're doing
talked
a
about
Christmas
and we
thing.
announced at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk a little bit more about that today. Joe, can you give us a little bit more info? Joe P. Can you give
Yeah,
us a little
sure.
bit more
So Midwinter Blight, as I know that people got a chance to see some of the video stuff before, and like we talked about at BlizzCon, but Midwinter Blight is obviously our first like true and proper holiday event. We're gonna be
let's
celebrating
go.
Diablo 4. In it, we're going to be visiting the Fractured Peaks again, where a horrible storm has like descended upon the people of the here we are has descended upon the people of the Fractured Peaks.
Purple
We're
Hell
be
Tide.
introduced
Oh,
to
no.
a new character named Gillian, who's a bard. Gillian is here trying to like rouse the spirits of the people of Kyovashad, trying to help them work together to push back against a new threat that's emerging from like the hills and mountains
Purple
nearby,
Hell
coming
Tide,
down,
baby.
from the glacier and down from the mountainous peaks nearby.
So, Joe, can I trust this guy though? Because I don't have a good track record with musicians.
He's a bard.
I think that anyone
really
who plays
good.
music in the Fractured Peaks is generally trustworthy.
Okay.
So I think that you're going to
He's
be.
looking a little sketch there.
I don't know. I
playing in front
trusted
of
all those
I don't
folks in
think
the
that's.
past.
I don't think that's fair to those of us who boast to have nice facial hair. I think that Gillian is a perfectly trustworthy person. So
Gillian?
with that in mind,
he has a
Gillian's there trying to
beard.
rouse people together, and they're going to be sending the heroes of Sanctuary off into the Fractured Peaks to fight against this new threat, the Red Cloak Horror and his minions. who are out there
Santa Claus. I mean, the
causing
red
mayhem.
cloak.
They're kind of erecting these disgusting snow
looks
sculptures
cool.
out of discarded parts out throughout the environment. Yeah, here is a group of the red cloak horrors minions just kind of like running around. They're very, very dangerous creatures. They're also fun.
Gross.
They're kind of like they're having a good time with it. Like they're enjoying the season. They're in it for the spirit of it, which is just basically causing a lot of mayhem and destruction.
They're in there for the
and pain
spirit
for the
of it?
people. So you get a chance to feel a little bit of that as you're going through the event. Here is our
that's
main
Santa
boy,
Claus.
the red cloak horror himself.
I remember
This
they
is gonna be your
introduced
option to
this
go and
model
fight
earlier.
This boss will occasionally pop into the content. You'll get good rewards from him as you're kind of progressing through the event. And you will take all of these like trophies and things you're collecting from all of his minions, and kind of as you're engaging in various events and saving people in Sanctuary, you'll bring these back to Kyovashad, be able to unlock some really cool cosmetics.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know there's even a few like kind of exclusive things for beyond the cosmetics for this event, such as
Anything cool?
elixir, for
Oh,
instance,
that single-handed
actually
axe.
grants a little bit.
The single-handed
more,
sword.
Experience.
Yeah. There's an elixir that grants 10% extra experience when you're drinking it. It also gives you other effects when you're active inside the Fractured Peaks, but you can also just use it for the XP if you want.
And I will note the XP actually does work even outside of Fractured Peaks. So it's like, hey, it's an extra bonus for players if they're looking to grab a little bit of extra experience. And then there is also, for this event, a new like offensive aspect.
Yeah, there's a new seasonal aspect you get to play with. It kind of like dovetails with some of the new shrines and things that we have throughout the environment. So there's a lot of fun stuff for players to engage with throughout the season. And then again, a lot of really cool cosmetics to collect.
Yeah, so it's a lot of cool stuff coming in Midwinter Blight.
And these, the things, some folks might be wondering if the things like the elixirs and the aspects persist after Midwinter Blight ends, and they do, right?
Yep.
They do, yeah. They will persist after the event ends, but you'll only be able to collect them now during this period of time.
Exactly. So
right.
like stock up. There you go.
Yeah.
Stock up for the elixirs themselves, and of course, Midwinter Blight is on December 12th.
Okay.
So make sure to log in, and it'll be running through the holidays for players to actually jump in and check out from that end. But the next other big thing.
Yeah, that's like 2 weeks away.
Exactly.
What's happening next week?
Yeah, what's happening next week? So we're actually going to go back to the week prior to December 12th, and on December 5th.
As you would naturally do.
As
You
you would
naturally work out 2 weeks, then come back and
Right.
talking through things. Yeah.
Organization. But yeah, we're actually going to move to December 5th, which will be the Abattoir of Zir. This is a new endgame mode that we're actually adding to Diablo 4. It's for a limited time only. It's a seasonal event specifically that we announced at BlizzCon. And we are actually, for the first time on one of our streams, we're going to have a live run-through of the Abattoir Zir, starring. You won't be able to see this wonderful man on camera, but he is mic'd up because we wanted to hear him struggle. That is Filthy Rich. He's actually a senior community manager on the community team here on Diablo. You may have recognized his name on our forums. Posting patch notes, hotfix notes, etc. Rich is amazing, and he is actually going to be showcasing a little bit of Abattoir Zir for us. Okay.
Right off
You
the
can
dog
pet
pad.
the dog in Diablo 4.
When
Yeah,
we
in case-
practiced this, the dog wasn't there.
In case it wasn't clear, that is still a feature that exists in the game.
Yeah.
Say hi, Rich.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. There's a spin of friendship. Okay, so we are. Yeah, it's funny. It's like last stream of the year, and we're doing it live. This is fun.
Now, and when we say live, we're talking about this is a live, like he's playing for real right now.
Yes.
That is what I was referencing.
But the patch doesn't come out.
But it
till
is
the-
on a dev server,
Yeah.
so we won't run into other players, and it is on a dev build, so there might be some debug text or
Unless
other
the dev
stuff.
just happens to run it through, who's also on this
Could
server, but
happen,
yes.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you might see some weird stuff, folks. And if people,
I'm
honestly,
fearful we just sent out this megaphone to the team and also running over
All
the
right,
bridge.
well, anyway, this is the first time we've done something like that.
that's absolutely right. And if you complain about it, we just won't do it again. And wouldn't you rather just see really
If
cool
you
stuff?
complain about it, hey,
So let's
let's go. Okay, let's
All
run
right.
it.
So, Rich, what build are you going to be running here for us today?
Yeah, so on my side, I'm actually going to be running a popular build, the Ball Lightning build. I'm going to wait for Joe to kind of explain some of the earlier stuff, basically a lot of the gameplay loop stuff, but pretty familiar for those who've been watching a lot of the endgame material for Ball Lightning. Specifically for this, I really focused around like survivability, mobility, with a sprinkle of DPS. But I think before we get into
With
it,
a sprinkle.
sprinkle
Yeah,
of
ball
DPS.
lightning
You're
known
talking about
for
ball
it's
lightning.
low damage output capacity. Absolutely. So Rich here. So let's say we're talking about the Abattoir of Zir. I know we talked about this before, but for the uninitiated, this is gonna be a new end game dungeon content experience for players to engage with that really unlocks after you finish the season journey of season 2. So if you really want to go and start going through this content, you'll need to have done all the things in the season beforehand to be able to gain access to the very first Blood Forge sigil you're able to craft here at the Occultist.
The sigil.
And once you've taken this sigil, this is going to open up a new dungeon space.
There's
going
the
to be
cow world.
more challenging than a tier 100 Nightmare dungeon. Now there are 25
More
tiers
challenging?
of the Abattoir of Zir for players to engage with, and each of these does get progressively much more challenging as you step up. Much more challenging than say going from like a tier 75 Nightmare dungeon to a tier 76 Nightmare dungeon.
Wow,
Going
so
from a tier 1 to tier 2
T100s
to
are
tier
popping
3,
off?
These are really significant steps by comparison. So, and we want this because like we're giving like season 2's been a lot of fun. Like I'm having a lot of fun playing even my Firewall Sork right now. There's we want to make sure that there's a really good place for players to be able to bring all of this power they've been collecting from like whether they're farming Duriel for Uber Uniques or just they get a really, really great combination of vampiric powers. And have a place where they can go to like to really show off and like really push hard into a type of content. That's the focus here.
Yeah, and we mentioned you mentioned just now that the Avatar requires that you've completed the season journey,
Yes.
right? And so the season journey, the last step of the season journey requires you can skip two of the objectives,
What?
but there's still difficult objectives like complete
Oh,
Kill
yeah.
Duriel, even if you skip like Echo of Lilith and the tier 90 Nightmare Dungeon requirement. And that's not arbitrary. That's because characters who aren't able to do that really are not ready for Abattoir of Zir. So
Yep.
I know there are a lot of folks who are level
Damn.
100 out there who maybe haven't completed this yet. We've got this weekend coming up.
What if I killed all of them?
So get your season journey finished.
Like a
Exactly,
few weeks
and,
ago.
and if players still haven't completed it by this weekend or when Abattoir of Zir actually hits, they can still complete it anytime when the seasonal event is actually going
course,
on
yeah.
and jump in even afterwards. So if you got plans this weekend or something like that and can't finish it, don't worry, it's okay. You can still do that over the next couple of weeks because this event will be going through January or the beginning of January itself.
Right.
So.
Through
Still have
January?
time.
Damn, when's the new season?
So, I know Rich here has actually, as we were talking, spawned a level 1 Abattoir using the sigils himself right there.
Okay, let's go.
So I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of jump in.
So Rich has done a little of this content on his character here already. So he's got a little bit of a preview of how it's going to play, how it's going to feel to play
Okay.
through. But I think it's going to be pretty fun. Let's see how he performs.
Let's see.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I did want to address on that I saw from chat is that character that I have is as close as I can be to being maxed out. Because this is trying to be as relatively close to what I've been
they're level
practicing on, which
155.
has been the tier level 100 Nightmare Dungeons. And I think there's a few things that I wanted to call out as well. On
Yeah,
the
level
actual-
155 is pretty crazy.
on the actual sigil itself, I think one difference here is that I'm not aware of what afflictions I'm going to encounter in this battle. So I think capping things or getting as close to as capped I can for things like my armor, my magic resist.
But can't
my
you just
damage,
check by
and all
pausing it
those.
or whatever?
Just really trying to be ready and prepared for any
Or
surprise.
is it just pure
Yeah, I
RNG?
know Rich is because you've played through Abattoir a little bit. You've built a little bit more survival on your Sork here, as opposed to completely glass cannon. He's a little bit more prepared than I think some other people would be.
Yeah, I would go big
but,
damage.
I know with us
big
showcasing
damage.
here a level
Just
1
unleash
Abattoir,
everything.
kind of at least showcases a little bit. How would you guys compare this to a Nightmare Dungeon in terms of tier difficulty, or would it be similar to a Nightmare Dungeon?
It
in
looks
terms of
just like a
tier,
Nightmare
with the level
Dungeon.
1?
Yeah, the level 1 Abattoir of Zir is kind of close to what a level 104 might be. That's kind of where things start, and then things step up from there. Now, you'll see here right off the bat. There's
Can he
there's
do
some
it
big
25
differences,
so we
right?
can
On the
see?
right-hand side, you see that there's a bar that's being filled. Abattoir of Zir runs are really races against time.
Oh,
Rich here is
you
really
have
focused
to
on
also
killing
do
creatures as fast as he
damage.
can in an effort to kind of beat that timer and summon the boss at the end of the experience. Loot's not dropping for him as he's kind of rolling through this thing. We don't want to slow you down. We want to keep you killing as fast as you can to show off your ability to kind of like survive in these environments.
Well, yeah, you're pretty much
Now,
maxed.
as we step up, one thing we think is interesting about this is
You're looking
we
at
actually,
Superman max.
taking one step back actually.
But what are the
Some of the
rewards?
things that Joe's talked about when we were at BlizzCon was our commitment to end game content and itemization, rewards, and things. The things we want to do to continue to make the game better. Abattoir of Zir is like it's designed explicitly to appeal to players who are at this stage of the gameplay experience, and we're going to be using it to kind of like think about and iterate upon more features like this we want to bring out in the future. That's one of the reasons why it's a seasonal event. It's a fun experience for season 2, but we'll have slightly different ideas in the future of how we want to kind of create similar content.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, and I know with we can see Rich. By the way, Rich has been so lucky with shrines every single time we've watched him go through.
Yeah.
He consistently gets artillery shrines, which I'm just gonna claim I don't know, community manager.
Community manager
benefits.
RNG. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
I'm going to be 100% honest.
Yeah,
with
there's so much
everyone
echo
here,
outside
those
now.
watching. I went super tanky because I think one of the nightmares that I would have is actually to die in the middle of a demo.
We'll make that happen. I promise.
Yeah.
I know the
Make him hit a
with level
25.
1, as you can see, Rich is well ahead of time, so he's clearly geared out and ready for a level 1. But at the end of these abattoirs, we'll see here in a second as he gets to time.
Yeah, let's go.
We do have a little
Almost
bit of
there.
kind of an end period for players, a little bit more of a challenge towards the end.
Yeah. So and one thing that's making this particularly interesting is with the vampiric powers in season 2, with Rich running Metamorphosis regularly. I mean, he's basically got permanent unstoppable. As he's just kind of using Flicker Step to keep resetting that unstable currents, and he is just keeping that 4-second unstoppable uptime. Ooh. And he summoned the boss, and wow, that was spicy right off the bat. So every time you manage to clear one of these levels, you're going to summon 3 Bloodseekers, who are pretty strong. They're going to have affixes of their own. That you're going to have to go ahead and clear through.
3 rogue
Timer's
exiles.
still ticking,
Okay, they're
but
looking good.
Rich has got a really good, healthy lead on the timer right now, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a question of whether or not he gets spiked by something he didn't expect.
Yeah.
But
If
with
he
the
gets
amount of
one
barrier you
hitter
should be able
down.
to pack with your Sork at this point, I don't think that should be a problem.
I don't
This
know.
is a unfavorable
this is-
spawn.
Yeah,
location.
I don't like this spot.
You're in some
I
tight corners
think
here.
in every single practice this has happened, but what I'm feeling lucky about is that I don't have a suppressor, which is definitely a
There
nightmare
you
for
go.
me in my ball lightning. But yes, I'll pass it back over to you because there's actually some pretty cool stuff
Look at that helmet.
to call out over here.
That helmet's
Okay. So
cool.
upon finishing your first run through the Abattoir of Zir, you're going to earn the special glyph associated with the seasonal event, which is the Tears of Blood glyph that you can see here. Now, Rich has already spent some XP on this, upgrading it before, but this is an extraordinarily powerful multiplicative bonus glyph you get to kind of slot in. This has got 200 levels associated with it for you to upgrade through over the course of time. It starts out at the size of a tier 15 normal glyph. Normal rare
200
glyph.
levels? Wait, what?
So it is extremely strong right off the bat. So you're going to be able to use this to kind of help you get through some of the more difficult
That's
tiers as
crazy.
you go deeper and deeper into the experience. And
That's a lot of
there's one other really
experience,
neat
though.
thing about this as well. So this experience, the Tears of Blood glyph itself has a lot of Paragon glyph XP that you need in order to upgrade it.
That's what I saw.
To, go on.
Yeah,
with the
1,000
experience.
XP. That's
And one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that if you're at this stage, if you want to experiment with other glyphs, you can still you get giant amounts of XP from finishing Abattoir of Zir level.
1,000.
You get 1,000.
Players
From tier
right there
1,000.
saw 1,000
Yeah.
XP.
From a tier,
so, yeah.
from a tier 1, you get 1,000. So if you want to use this as an opportunity to kind of rank up some of those other glyphs you've got because you want to play with other things for other builds and other things, here's an opportunity for you to kind of go and quickly level up a bunch of those other glyphs that you have. In addition to not taking too much time away from.
Because, I mean, that's what they
Blood,
had said
trying to, stay-
before.
keep pace with
They
that.
had said they
But
wanted
we think that's,
Abattoir
an
of Zir to
extra
be a
fun
glyph
little tip.
leveling area.
Yeah, Tears of Blood glyph, super powerful for players to be able to engage with. Again, it's only here for
Yes.
this season, and it'll be retired at the end of that season.
Yeah, and we just saw Rich, of course, churn through a level 1 pretty easily. Then
Yeah.
struggled a little at the end, but
That wasn't bad.
There was a little struggle. I got a little nervous.
it
over
wasn't
here.
too bad. I know, Rich, what key or what sigils do you have here?
So I think what I did over there was the sigil one. I think what we were talking about was trying to make an engagement moment. basically by having chat almost pick the challenge ahead. So what I've pre-crafted beforehand is a 2,
3,
6,
and a
as
25.
well as a 10. Funny enough, I created backups for this because, like, hey, I might die. But I think it's just one of those things where I would love to reserve the 10 and beyond levels for a later moment.
Yes.
But Adam, you had a great idea.
And as a reminder, like tiers for abattoirs here go up to 25.
Yeah.
So there are a significant amount of tiers, and they of course go up in difficulty by a pretty, like, almost an exponential amount as you're going from tier to tier. But be curious. Okay, all right. Like, you already asked the chat, and the chat is already going like screaming 10.
Yeah.
So they just want you to die.
Okay, we said, like, we're gonna let chat choose 2, 6, or 10. We'll see what they say. I'm like, it's gonna be 10. They're gonna absolutely want to.
There's no way.
I want to see 10.
I want, I want to see how much
gets
XP a
into
10 drops and how hard
a
it is.
tier 10,
Because
and
it'll show us
let's
what
see how
level
he
that
does. Now, are you gonna
you got
adjust
4
builds a little bit
You have
here?
4
Well, so-
potions too. I just want to call it. You have 4
I mean, a few things here, I think, for the players at home is that obviously you saw that the previous one I was geared up to be a little bit more tanky because the last thing that I want to do is embarrass myself and die on there. But I think what Joe and team can do is also explain like how some of the scaling works as I go up. So I think I'll just go in. I think what I'm trying to balance out now is just try to add a little bit more damage output by sacrificing some of my tankiness. Just because I anticipate that the higher HP is going to be a challenge, and I don't want to lose to the time, and I actually want to see how far I can progress. So let me activate this.
I was like, you went back in without acting.
Yeah,
you know, the nerves. It's the nerves.
Yeah, to Rich's point here, I mean, it's not easy to play games on stream, right?
No, it's not.
No, so this is why we're gonna have him narrate a full Romeo and Juliet play to us as he's playing to ensure
Full color commentary.
Oh, there you go. That's how you get
concentration on
invested,
this.
Sulu.
No, so to Rich's point earlier about how the scaling works. So as we were experimenting with this content, one of the things we discovered pretty quickly is we just didn't want to continue to scale monster damage up, you know, in a really, really significant way as we
made
were kind
him
of going through this
tanky.
content. We really want to focus a lot more on monster
That's
health
level
scaling as you go.
187.
Because we quickly get to a point where like any bat that kind of like clips you, which is basically just completely ice you unless you're invulnerable at that point, and it just makes it a less fun experience overall. So we wanted to make sure it was much more about like, can you beat that timer? Can you survive the bosses at the end? Not as much about like damage gets so high over the course of time that there's no opportunity for different classes to really be able to perform.
Yeah, I think you might need a barbarian for this shit.
The Tears of Bloodglyph really is going to increase your damage output.
Yes.
Right, so leveling that up.
Did you actually have your Tears for Bloodglyph equipped?
Oh, is it equipped?
So I did not, and I think one of the things that I wanted to do, I mean, for me, I think as I've been going in and testing it, like I think it's actually been a pretty cool experience to see like how it's been with and without. I think just exploring a little bit more into it as well, like
Going
while
in.
my Paragon board is optimized for what I have here, it's definitely opening up a lot more. Oh, hold on a second. Can you-
Also, you didn't replenish your potions
didn't.
before you
I
went
tried
in
to
here.
warn him.
So
It's about. This is for the stream.
mistakes were made.
This is for this-
this is for the stream.
Mistakes
Oh, I
were
see.
made.
This
This
is
is for the
content.
disadvantage
right?
for
Content,
clicks.
baby.
I see.
This is for the stream.
We got more max potions.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
You did get that.
Rich did not do himself a few favors here. One, he did not replenish his potions, and then two, he did not equip the Tears for Bloodglyph.
Yeah, you
There-
are
because-
falling behind that timer pretty
Yeah,
quickly at this
because
point.
he wanted to be a show off
Yes.
and is not
Yeah.
showing off.
Well, it's interesting to see how valuable, you were talking about this earlier, how valuable the vampiric powers are in this content as well.
Yeah.
Really configuring those.
Yeah, I mean, if you're permanently unstoppable, like Snake Family is a lot less dangerous to deal with across the board. Like you don't have to deal with that that charging stun. You don't have to
charge
deal with
bite, yeah.
you don't have to deal with the paralyzed. Like there's you have some advantages. I think it's funny that we got snakes randomly twice in a row.
Yeah.
But hey, that's the nature of live gameplay.
And I will
It's
say,
not just snakes though. You can see other things in this.
We're
Right,
near-
yeah, that's a great point.
By the way.
Each time you enter Avatar of Zir,
I
you're gonna
swear,
have,
guys, there's other
different
mobs.
monsters, different tile
It's
sets,
not just the
different,
same one.
different layouts.
Oh my
And I think
God.
the big thing
He's
here is
dead.
that my eyes definitely
R.I.P.
drawn into
Jim.
the timer compared to how it was in the.
What the
tier one.
problem is,
And I'm definitely not taking out
is
as
that
many
they don't,
monsters as
since
they
they don't drop
need,
items, they also don't
potions,
drop
and,
potions.
and
that
tip-
timer is really hurting my feelings.
So
that
he's
and
dead.
Everything
I
seems fine
will
here.
say, like, the
R.I.P.
normal progression for players will be,
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
There it
well,
was.
well then, that ends the story of Rich and
Did my
Abattoir.
best.
I will say that the normal progression for players is not to go immediately to a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Chat deemed that you needed to go to a 10 immediately.
I would have gone
and
to a
Rich
10.
deemed that he did not need to actually equip his Tears of Blood glyph.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But this takes us to an interesting point. What happens when you die in it?
Yeah, so when you die in the video game, you die in the video game. So actually, you're going to lose your run because you have no respawns
When you
available
die in
to
the
go
video
through
game, you die.
Abattoir of Zier run.
True,
So you'll have to
Joe.
go back. You'll have to make another key. So
True.
that progress is going to be lost. So
Yeah.
So you only get one
Yeah,
chance.
so just a word for warning for like even like a double, like I guess penalty for hardcore players.
hardcore
Like
players,
yeah,
yeah.
lose your character and you
lose your
you
run.
lose your
Yeah, you're right.
your run.
huge double penalty.
Yeah.
Huge double.
One
Jeez.
major penalty and one small one. So,
Yeah.
Also, if you do it in groups,
I do want to just follow up on the
if
mention
anyone
earlier,
dies,
what happens at the
everyone
very
gets
end.
kicked.
I think the trying to return back to the adventure, but being
Yeah, this is fun.
surprised by this is something that we wanted to call out as well.
Yeah, so like basically, if the portal's gonna be there while the event is active, but unless you've actually used a sigil to kick it off, you're basically just gonna be able to come to this like kind of broken edifice here, and there's nowhere else to go.
I'd be curious, like if you are in here with like a party, can you revive other party members as if they happen to die?
When a player goes down, the run is over.
Okay.
The run is over.
Okay, there we go. So
The run
I
is
know there's a
over.
few people asking questions like, "Hey, if I'm running this with a group, if anyone dies there, it's a done run." So it is a little punishing, but at the same time, it is end game content. that-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sure.
but I mean,
so-
if you got
so,
two heavy hitters, you can have two people
one
at
of
the
things
door
that's
getting
really interesting
amazing
about
XP.
having content like this at the end games, we do want to make sure that there are lots of ways, as you've seen in season 2, to like farm up different gear that you want and make sure that you can get your characters to be really, really powerful. But then when you get into the next tier of content, like, do we want you to continually always get more gear to always replace the gear that you have, right? So the Tears of Blood
Hmm. mean,
Glyph
that's
is
the
an
whole
example
thing,
of us,
right?
like kind of experimenting with different ideas of progression for players and see how these things feel. Like we want to make sure that there's always more things you want to go try to do.
So what are the
Always more
drops? Is
things
it
to go
just the
push with your
sigil?
character. But how much you have to like reintegrate, aspects of your build every time you like kind of go through a content tier feels like something we talk about quite a bit.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm really excited about for this is so Tears of Blood is gonna be like really, really powerful. Again, 200 tiers, multiplicative damage increases. It continues to scale up as you go. It's very, very strong. It's gonna be fun to see players who are able to see how far people can eschew that, like not use the Tears of Blood glyph, and see how far they're able to actually get into the content.
Without it?
So I think that's gonna be very, very exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm hoping players end up, sending us tweets on social or sorry, it's not tweets anymore. X posts.
Yeah, posts and reposts.
on social or posting on Reddit and forums of like how far they can actually progress. It'll be really cool to see where the community kind of lands and where some of our more
Well, there's going to be some barbarians
hardcore
and
players
druids
like
that are going to be able to make it to
hardcore
the end.
characters, people that
I'm
really
betting
risk
money.
everything
Yeah.
to try out this content. So there we go. So that's Abattoir Zier. Abattoir Zier again hits on December 5th. It'll be with our next patch.
Next week.
And and that will be next week. We actually plan on having patch notes available on Diablo4.com tomorrow.
Diablo4.com.
It will be available for people to check out patch notes for that update hitting next week. So thank you again, Rich.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for sacrificing your dev build character for this, which is nearly the same as your live build. I know.
Yes. This build I wanted to make as close as I can to in terms of a one-to-one representation of what I have on retail. I know for a lot of the people at home, it's important to try to have and see and play with something that's relevant to them. So yeah, just tried to do that. Excited to see everybody online. Let's farm up. Let's do this. See how high you can get.
Get your season journey done.
Yeah.
Because that is the requirement for jumping into Abattoir.
Wait, you have to have the season journey
and
done?
checking it out. Cool. So I know one thing that we do want to talk about
Oh,
as well
bro.
that we had mentioned on social, and this is just a quick mention from us and a quick update from us, and it is around
Which one is the
itemization.
journey?
So one thing we do want to show off though is we all have. Well, I'm not zipped up. I'm wearing my Diablo 4 bomber here. Oops. There we go. But
Doing some extra hand
But
modeling.
yeah, we do have these really fancy little shirts here.
Gee, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys even remember the cue.
I remember.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah.
It's this is a playoff
go.
of Adam Jackson. Made this wonderful saying before. Damage on Tuesdays.
Damage on Tuesdays.
And yeah,
It felt appropriate for discussing
we felt like this was an appropriate time to show off.
We were like,
these
we're gonna take.
jackets
Well, what we'll do is
specifically.
we'll take the jackets off while Rich is playing. We won't forget to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Well, we were supposed to do that.
We were
Yeah.
supposed to do that to have this be like a
That
better
would've been
bit.
So
plan.
instead,
That would've been a
everyone just got
funnier
to watch us awkwardly take off hoodies and jackets. So, but yes,
I think the people loved it, obviously.
yes, and I do want to give a shout out to Ricky on our art team.
Richie,
Richie on our art team, who actually ended up making these amazing Damage
Yeah,
on
I love
Tuesday
the
shirts.
graphic design on
Yeah,
this.
it's really
that's
cool. Little rogue shooting through Tuesday.
Yeah.